So the Indianapolis Colts, they got 2 in the 6th round, and these are both guys who have played at a really high level, played winning football for big-time programs. At 189, the Colts take Riley Leonard. We'll hear from him first. Quarterback from Notre Dame. We know Riley Leonard. Started his career at Duke, then transferred to Notre Dame, and really did good work, right? Put Notre Dame in the national championship game. He didn't do that on his own, but he did it as the quarterback, and that counts for something. Playing winning football and being a mature human being. When you listen to Riley Leonard, you're going to get an idea of the maturity. He grew up in the area where Phillip Rivers did, and so he's got a relationship with Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers was coached by Shane Steichen. Rivers played for the Colts, and those guys have that relationship, so it's been kind of a natural flow. Guy also played collegiately in his final year at Notre Dame, so he likes Indiana, and you're going to hear that throughout his media availability that he was hoping Colts, which is what a lot of people say when they get drafted. They don't say, hey, I was really hoping to go to the Jets, but the Colts called my name, so what the hell? I'll go to Indianapolis. They don't say that, but you get a feeling that Riley Leonard's kind of sort of sincere about his desire to come here and play football for Shane Steichen. Then we're going to hear from Tim Smith. Tim Smith, a defensive tackle from Bama, who does a few things really, really well and can grow into the others. Both these guys, very, very mature, very productive during their college time at big-time programs. Tim Smith, a 3-year starter at defensive tackle for the Crimson Tide, a good run stuffer, a guy who is really good at occupying double teams, a guy who is not so great at pass rush. But he wasn't asked to do a lot of that at Alabama. We'll see what he develops into with the Indianapolis Colts. Here are Riley Leonard and Tim Smith.
Yeah, I think that this has been really fortunate for me to just have an inner circle, specifically in relation to Coach Steichen. Throughout this whole process, there's no place that I would rather be than back in Indiana. So even when I was at the combine in Indianapolis, it kind of just felt like home, and to have him around was really cool.
James Boyd.
Raleigh, welcome back to Indiana, I guess. But as far as when it comes to the Colts, what did they tell you about your game, what they liked about it, and also you yourself? What do you think you can improve on at the next level?
Yeah, I think a couple of things that they enjoyed was number one, my ability to extend plays and make plays as a playmaker. I think they like my preparation and the way that I handle things off the field. I think the intangibles are something that I can take advantage of and help the quarterback room in whatever way possible. And some things I'm trying to get better at. There are a lot of things, man. I don't think I'm nearly the player I want to be, and I have a lot of potential. But I think being able to play with my eyes and be a little bit more disciplined in the pocket, right? You're not going to be able to extend the plays that you did in college as much. So operating in the pocket and playing on time are a couple of things that I really want to emphasize.
Kevin Bone.
Riley, what do you remember about your conversations with Shane at the pro day? I know he doesn't come to a lot of pro days, but went to yours at Notre Dame.
Yeah, to have a head coach at your pro day and tell you through it well afterwards is all the difference maker. So to see him take the short drive up to South Bend, 2-hour drive or something like that, was really cool.
Lara?
Riley, congratulations. You and Daniel Jones will now be in the same quarterback room. You both have the Duke connection. How familiar you are with Daniel? How much time have you gotten to maybe spend with him because of the Duke connection?
Yeah, the Duke connection is great. I think it's really cool for us to be able to. He actually just called me, and Anthony Richardson texted me as well. So to have the Duke connection was really something special. We went out to eat a couple weeks ago. Whenever he came down to train with David Morris, we trained with the same guy. So we had dinner a few weeks ago, which was great.
Do a few more here, Jake Arthur.
Yeah, so you obviously had the national championship against Ohio State. The Colts did draft JT Tuimoloau in the 2nd round. What has been your impression of him, being able to play against him? And then also, how have you kind of used your experience from the national championship to kind of build things moving forward?
Yeah, I think he's absolutely an outstanding player and somebody that, being able to compete against him is incredible. So anytime you can play against the best of the best, is a blessing, but now to be able to play with them would be pretty interesting as well. So we'll have a few conversations and a little bit of trash talk to be talking the first time I see him.
A couple more. Chat.
Yeah, Riley, I saw again the thing with the Phillip Rivers. If you could just give the background on how that's worked and what he's been able to share with you, maybe about quarterbacking and the Colts. I don't know.
Yeah, we actually threw. Oh man, when did I throw them? A couple of days ago, I went over to his house. He's got a really cool place in his backyard where he'll throw. And I was able to throw with his younger son, who's an outstanding talent, by the way, Gunnar Rivers.
Gunnar, yeah.
Yes, and I think probably the biggest thing that I learned was just how intentional he is about every little thing. Like if we're doing the warm up and we're taking 5-step drops, those 5-step drops, have to be, pristine in order for them to be good enough for him. So, sorry if I lost you there.
All right.
Oh, here we go. Sorry about that. Coach Freeman was calling me. Sorry about that. But yeah, I think the littlest details to him are the most important in the world.
James Boyd.
So, Raleigh, I can tell you're excited. Can you just give us the reaction to everything and also just having to wait your turn and then finally hearing your name called?
Yeah, I think it's just a sigh of relief. The whole draft process, every time Indiana comes on the screen, I'm crossing my fingers and, it came at the perfect time. Couldn't ask for much more. All I wanted to be, the only place I wanted to be was in Indianapolis. And to hear my name called, it didn't matter the round. I just wanted to be in the building with the guys.
And last one here, Kevin Bone.
Riley, did you have a lot of gear from other teams? Like
I had one other team gear. So it was this and the Ravens, but this was I had this and then they gave me like a couple of hats. So I kind of was banking on the Colts.
Riley,
Awesome.
quick follow up on the shirt. Were you wearing that shirt all day, or you just had it ready to go when the call came?
I wasn't wearing it all day now, but I promise you, every time Indiana was on the clock, it got a little quiet in the room.
Yeah, man, the relationship been good. I had a good relationship connection with some of those guys. I played under them down at the Reese's Bowl in Mobile. So, it was exciting to actually get a call for some guys, you build that relationship with.
James Boyd.
Tim, congrats again. How much do you think like some of the post, or pre-draft stuff helped you out, like the Reese's Bowl?
Repeat that question one more time.
How much do you think some of the post season stuff, some of like the extra, bowl games, things like that you went to get evaluated helped you in this process?
It helped me out a lot, actually, going down there to the Reese's Bowl, kind of giving me a different picture, kind of broad perspective of how the NFL kind of plays the game of football. Being in Alabama for 5 years, I played in two-gap defense my whole career. The first thing I could do, I get to the Reese's Bowl, they're telling me we want to see you shoot and get upfield. So, being able to have that exposure and kind of get that in my mind and kind of process before I do get to the league, kind of helped me out a lot. So, I got a lot of more stuff that I added to my arsenal throughout this process, throughout training, going down to Mobile for the Reese's Bowl. Just a lot of stuff I can add to my game and my person.
And then one quick follow-up, what things did the Colts say to you about your game that they like, and then other things you can look at to kind of continue to grow in?
My ability to push the pocket, man. I'm big, strong, physical up front, hold the point. Don't get bullied around too much in the double teams. That's my game right there. I love the double teams. I live for them. But, some things that they mentioned we need to work on is pass rushing. That's one of my biggest things that I tell everybody as well. I'm a great defensive lineman, but, the game of football, how it's played now, you got to be able to affect the quarterback. So, just working on my pass rush a little bit more.
Joel.
Playing at Alabama, what do you think playing at Alabama taught you?
A lot, man. Really just prepared me for life, football, anything, man. Mainly to be disciplined, be who you are, understand what you have to do. Playing Alabama kind of prepares you for the NFL properly. Like whatever aspect you can think of, whether it's on the field, off the field, how to carry yourself, how to speak to others, how to be on time, how to be a leader, how to be a great man in general.
Do you think of it? Do you think of yourself as somebody who's got a leg up on being a professional as opposed to other rookies?
Absolutely, man. Like I tell everybody, that was part of the reason why I did stay in return for my fifth year. Get another coaching style up under my belt, add some more to my person, my arsenal, who I am as a person as well. Going back to, like I said, just preparing me for whatever I'm faced with or have to handle in the NFL at the next level.
One more for me, Tim. Can you kind of take us through the moment where you got the call? Did you get off the phone and scream and run around the house? Like, what'd you do to kind of just soak in, obviously, a big milestone?
Nah, man, I'm a real simple dude. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Yeah, I didn't do too much. Trust me, I'm very appreciative of the call. Trust me. But yeah, it was just a real subtle moment. I'm one of those guys. I don't believe it till I see it. And I got a chance to talk with Coach Patridge on the phone, Mr. Balla as well. So it was definitely exciting. And then even more exciting being, like I said, I had actually kind of spoke to those guys already, build a relationship with them, then being able to work me out. That's a different phase when you get to see somebody grind and work and sweat. That's a different relationship you build. But yeah, it was definitely exciting.
If there's a theme in this draft for the Indianapolis Colts, it is they have gotten mature guys in this draft who are going to be able to contribute quickly. Not to crap on Quincy Wilson, but there aren't any developmental prospects like Quincy Wilson in this draft class. Chris Ballard's gone out and gotten guys 22, 23, almost 24 years old who are going to come to Indianapolis kind of as grown-ass men, ready to compete for jobs, get on the field, compete, and be successful. At least that's the plan. We'll see if it comes to fruition, but we're through with round 6. On to round 7. We'll see what happens there. Remember, Chris Ballard does good work in the 7th round. Zaire Franklin, a 7th rounder. Will Fries was a 7th rounder. 7th rounders tend to do pretty well here because the Colts do their job way on the back end and wind up getting good players more often than not at that level. We'll see what they do in the 7th, but overall, this draft class, I think they're going to come in and they're going to be able to contribute. It's almost, this is a bit of a stretch, but it's almost like a free agent class coming in, the age of these guys. These guys going to be ready to play. Like Bernard Ryman came in, he was kind of an old dude. Anthony Richardson, not old when he came in, but these guys all kind of 23, 24 years old and have that maturity level to be able to come in and comport themselves as pros.